Essentially, time passes in Sims 2, which it didn't really in Sims 1. And so there are days of the week and weekends, and so the player is going to have this sense of the clock ticking, but it's actually progressing. And the Sims each have a period of time that they're in each stage of life.
They have genetic code. They actually can have babies, and they're going to share those genetic traits over generations. So as you develop a relationship between two Sims and they have a child, you're going to see characteristics passed along through the children.
You might have your kids grow up together, going to school together, become now teenagers, and then they, become married and have their own family.
What that means is that if you have a lot of kids, actually all going to be different and all portraying, their own variation of what the mom and the dad were.
They know who their parents are, so you're going to see the toddler following its mom and dad around the house. And when grandma and grandpa, who might live next door, come to visit, the kids are going to know it's grandma and grandpa and respond. So, run up and give them a hug. And we actually have something called grandma hug, which won't be called that in the game, but the idea is it's the kind of hug that a grandma gives her grandchildren. And so players are going to get that sense that the Sims know who their family is and can respond and react to them appropriately.
And so there's a family and a sense of connectivity between all those people and responsibilities between the adults and the kids, and also conflict, because as anybody who has teenagers at home or even kids understand that there are always a little challenge in running and participating in such an environment.
I'm strongly in favor of nature versus nurture.
The wealth and variety of Sims that you can create in this experience is.
Can I look at my license? Let's see. My name, William Ralph Wright. Ralph was my grandfather's name. I also had a boa constrictor named Ralph that I named after myself.
Growing up, my name was Loose Magoose, and that's what my dad called me, so that one stuck for quite some time.
When I was a caddy, the mean one-eyed caddy master, his name I forget, called me Bubba Bing.
My best friend when I was growing up always called me Will Kid. Several people in the office. I think I'd probably take after my father's side, because my mother is a very outgoing person, very verbal, and I'm actually not. I tend to be much quieter, much more reserved. My mother and my sister are both very dramatic. My father, who died when I was like 9 years old, I think was much more reserved and quiet like I am.
I take after my dad almost absolutely in looks. I mean, especially when I was younger, it was a carbon copy. In personality, it's a bit of a mix of both personality. However, I am most like my grandfather.
I think that I'm more like Maurice than anything else.
I inherited my looks from my two daughters. I have my younger daughter's eyes and my older daughter's feet, and my older daughter's height, and my younger daughter's irreverence. Unfortunately, I didn't inherit my younger daughter's energy level or body fat percent.
If you actually looked at pictures of my mom when she was young and pictures of myself when I was young, it's.
I am lucky enough to have all the knives that my grandfather taught me to cook with about 30 years ago. He and I communicated entirely through food, and I was his little kitchen slave. And at 8 years old, he had me, making a roux for him for his gumbo or his sauce or whatever. And he taught me, when I had when he was teaching me to chop, my chef's knife is now the knife I use as my paring knife, which is very.
Quand je joue les Sims tous les jours, je joue à peu près 2-3 heures au travail tous les jours. J'essaye en général de prendre un aspect particulier du jeu et d'y jouer pendant 2-3 heures d'affilée.
I love to cook. I really do. I love everything about cooking. I love the cleaning up. I love the setting up. I love the cooking. I love the eating. I love how people are around food they like. I think actually that's my favorite part, is the feeding of other people.
I grew up in the South, became very partial to seafood, especially Cajun, like jambalaya is my favorite.
One morning I woke up and I had tortellini in my hair, and that's all I'm going to say about that particular that evening.
They're making fun of.
First of all, I want to thank all the fans out there that have spent time playing The Sims, and especially those that have created custom content or websites for the game, because I think that the creativity that you invest in this game is by far and away the largest component or reason for success. And I think internally at Maxis here, we're thinking more and more that we're not so much building games, to sell, but we're trying to build communities. The games become the kind of the nucleus around which the community forms, but really the business we want to be in is the business of building these creative communities of people that can create interesting, cool content and then share that amongst each other. In that sense, I view our games kind of more almost as a hobby and less of kind of a dramatic experience like a movie, because the story that you're experiencing in a game like The Sims really is the story that you put into it, the story that you tell, not the story that we are telling you. And so it's very interesting to us, what we can do to help you be more creative, to increase the creative potential of what you can do telling a story in these games. And, we get a lot of feedback from you, the fans, through websites, from our message boards, and even from our Sims Exchange, seeing the stories that you tell. And we're continually looking for ways to where we can kind of give you more creative freedom. And so whenever we see that exhibited, when we see the cool creative stuff that you make or use the games for,